It's Newsweek on the Gift of Gaming podcast, and this week we're looking back on the month of May for all the good and bad that's gone down in the video game industry. It's me, your host, Darren Wade, and today I am joined by Mr. Xbox, not Xbox, that was an old wrestler from the early 90s, Mr. Xbox Games Pass himself, Luke Maycock. Luke, how are you?
Xbox!
Yeah, man. The glory days of wrestling.
I'm good, yeah, I'm doing really good. We have a nice bit of sun coming in the window here. I'm feeling sunny, funny Sunday.
Yeah,
Tuesday.
it's improved. This morning was miserable, so it's improved.
Yeah, it's picked up.
Chris couldn't be here because he's sick. I say sick in inverted commas, you know.
He sent us his sick note from his doctor.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I can't make it into school today. I can't do the podcast. I didn't do my homework. No, but so it's just me and Luke today. But Luke, I'm glad you're on the episode today because we got an Xbox heavy.
Oh, I thought you were just glad because I.
Oh no, I like you too. You're a good pal of mine. So
but it helps that I like Xbox things.
Yeah. It's an Xbox heavy episode. But I guess before we get down to that, what have you been playing? How's your week of gaming been?
Yeah, it's been good. I've been playing lots of different things. I finally kicked into Death Stranding a little bit more properly. Really enjoyed the very beginning of that. And then some parts got a bit weird as I went on. Like, it's Kojima, so it's always going to be weird, but like weird just in ways that didn't vibe with me well. But like, I'm still going to keep going. I'm enjoying it. I'm also playing Season. That game has a title as well. Season, an end of something. Basically, it's a indie.
Oh, is that the one where you're that girl and you go cycle around, you take photos of things?
Yeah,
Yes,
that's it.
Yes, I enjoyed that.
You do your scrapbook, you take your photos and do your voice recordings. And yeah, it's gorgeous little game. Doing that and then playing a bit of Rocket League, doing some ranked Rocket League.
You're still playing through the Rocket League because that was I remember that was a funny thing like a couple of years ago. You were like, oh, you should get onto Rocket League with me, and I was like, sure. And we played some competitive matches, you and me, and I don't play Rocket League, and I didn't play Rocket League then. And I was hopping on, but you and the people we were against would be champs. You were doing that thing where you drive up the side of the wall and hop off it and then just blast yourself through the air and can somehow stay airborne for ages. And I was just like, on the ground going, Durr! And like reversing the ball into our own goal and stuff like that. So I was like, I think Rocket League probably isn't for me.
It's fun. We played the original back in the day. The
Supersonic Acrobatic Rocket Powered Battle Cars.
That's it.
That's the one.
For people who don't know, Rocket League is a sequel to a game called Supersonic Acrobatic Rocket Powered Battle Cars. That sounds like we're making that up. But
check it out and check out the theme song for it too.
The theme song is
so good.
It's exactly what you hope.
Oh, it's all you want. Yeah. It's a pity because I remember when Rocket League came out and it became the thing that it is. I understand why they rebranded it. Rocket League is a far easier piece to sell to the masses, but I wish it was still called Supersonic Acrobatic Rocket Powered Battle Cars because that's essentially what it is. And I wish they kept that theme song because that theme song was absolutely lit. It was so good.
Rocket League, for all its new like fandangled loot boxes and dubstep intro music, in my heart that game is just Supersonic Acrobatic Rocket Powered Battle Cars 2.
Yeah, and so it shall remain.
And so it shall remain. What about you? What are you playing?
I am playing my Nuzlocke Pokemon still at the moment. Yeah. I finally beat Misty. That's how slow I'm going because it's a risk. You can't go against the gym member ill prepared because you lose everybody. They can't. So for those who don't know, a Nuzlocke Pokemon, the rules are that you can only catch and use on your team the first Pokemon that you encounter in each area. And I mean, you can catch as many other Pokemon as you want, but you can't use them. I think the actual legit rules is that when you catch the Pokemon, you're meant to release it straight away so it can't be used there afterwards. Okay. But I like having my box full of just the Pokemon that I've caught. And if the Pokemon faints, any Pokemon that's on your team faints, that's it. You cannot revive them. They're dead and gone for good. And I've had fun. I've been naming all my Pokemon as I go as well. I started with... I didn't want to make it too easy for myself because everyone, the recommendation is always to start with Bulbasaur. That's the easiest way to play the game.
Okay.
He's the easiest to level and the most important for early game in terms of going against Brock and Misty. Yeah. So I missed, unfortunately, I was hoping for really good luck when I got into the forest at the beginning because there's a chance you can catch a Pikachu, which would have been amazing. But unfortunately, the first Pokemon I encountered was a Caterpie. And I was like, oh, for fuck's sake. Yeah. I was really hoping because I was like, I can't use a Pikachu. So I ended up catching an Oddish sometime later and then trained Oddish Wendell I called my Oddish Wendell. And I had, so going into the Misty fight, I thought I was ready to go and fight this Misty. And I had on my team a Mankey that I called Cranky and an Oddish that I called Wendell. And I beat Misty, but unfortunately I lost those two. So Cranky and Wendell didn't make it. It was such a close fight, man. I almost lost the game entirely because Cranky got wrecked by Starmie, and I brought out Oddish, and I was like, well, this is fine. And then the Oddish got wrecked by Starmie, and then I was like, but Starmie was so close to fainting itself, and I had to bring out Waterboy, who is my War Turtle, and I just tackled my way to winning that fight. But it was so close because I spent so much time training my Oddish that my War Turtle was only level like 16, 17. The Starmie was 21. So it was a tough old fight, but that's 2 in the grave, and now I have to go. And it's so frustrating because you spend so much time training them that you now have to go and get different Pokemon to train up. Because all the Pokemon in your box that you've caught that you can use. So I've got I think, who did I put on my team? Like a Spearow, and I have a Rattata that I call Teeth. Because he's got 2 big teeth in front of his mouth. And I put him back on the team, but they're really low level. So now I'm going to continue on from that point, and I've got just a lot of shit Pokemon now, which has made the game already infinitely harder. Even coming across the couple of trainers that you find in the next route after Misty's gym, I'm like, fuck, I'm actually struggling against even these simple trainers because my Pokemon are weak. So it's a really interesting and tough way to play Pokemon, but naming them all certain names and actually spending the time to train them, it's the most bonded I've been with Pokemon before. And I didn't care for Wendell. My Oddish was there and trained up because I missed the Pikachu. I was like, I need a grass type to defeat Misty. So I didn't really care for losing Wendell, but losing Cranky was hard. He was never really meant to be there. He just had a good. I was like, oh, maybe because I think is it low kick. The bigger the Pokemon, the stronger low kick is as a move, and I kind of thought Starmie would have been a big Pokemon. So I just threw him out there to see what a low kick would do, and hit Starmie with a low kick. It was pretty strong, but then Starmie just one-shotted Cranky. No, Water Pulse was what the Starmie used. Yeah, Water Pulse was the move, and then just absolutely wiped my Cranky straight off the bat. And I was like, and you can't do that in the game either. Because in a Nuzlocke game, you can't be like, I'm going to throw him out here just to see. Like, you can't do that because you one shot and you're done. So yeah, I lost 2 Pokemon. So it's been tough ever since. But I've been playing that, and otherwise, I'm still going through the Doom games.
Oh, good. Yeah.
I've finished Doom 1 and Doom 2. And Doom 64, and I'm currently playing the 2016 Doom.
Nice.
I'm 2 hours into that, maybe 2-3 hours into that. So I didn't want to go to. I was kind of a little bit done with the 2D old school Dooms. I was like, I'm gonna try before going back to Doom 3. I'll try these 2016 one, which has been good fun, man.
Yeah, you enjoying it?
Yeah, with headphones on, it's just it's nice. I played a lot of open world and Rebirth, over the last kind of month or so. So getting a game that just you sit there with a gun and just knock this shit out of monsters with some cool music playing, and you can really Doom's a game where you can really switch your brain off for, which has been quite nice,
Yeah.
But yeah, that's been me. And I'm kind of looking forward to. I'd love to finish Pokemon like that and see what team I finish on. I was looking up online, lots of people talking about their team of 6 and who you should have on the team to make because doing Delete 4 and Victory Road is going to be incredibly tough. You have to really think about your team of 6. So yeah, I'm interested in going and finishing that. But that's been my gaming so far. Yeah,
very nice.
We've got news to talk about, Luke.
We do have news.
We do. May was a big month for Xbox. So we're going to kick off with that story. So this is coming from Wesley Inpool at IGN. And it says that Microsoft closes Redfall developer Arcane Austin, Hi-Fi Rush developer Tango Games Works, and more in devastating cuts at Bethesda. So Microsoft has closed a number of Bethesda studios, including Redfall, Maker Arcane Austin, Hi-Fi Rush, and the Evil Within developer Tango Games Works, and more. In devastating cuts at Bethesda, IGN can confirm. Alpha Dog Games, maker of mobile game Mighty Doom, will also close. Roundhouse Studios will be absorbed by the Elder Scrolls Online developer ZeniMax Online Studios. Microsoft, currently valued at over $3 trillion, did not say how many staff will lose their jobs, but significant layoffs are inevitable. IGN has asked Bethesda for comment. Microsoft declined to expand further when contacted by IGN. On Redfall, the disastrous vampire co-op game will now not receive promised updates, including an offline mode and new character DLC, as Microsoft has ended all development on the game. Microsoft said Redfall will remain online to play, and it will provide a, quote, make good, end quote, offer for those who bought the hero DLC. Arcane Leon, which is working on Marvel's Blade, survives the cull, as does Bethesda Game Studios, which is Fallout, Elder Scrolls, and Starfield, and Machine Games, the Indiana Jones and the Great Circle game, and Doom developer ID Software is also unaffected. So that's good news for us, Luke. There might be a new Doom game we can play after I play all these other Doom games. Quote, the reprioritization of titles and resources means a few teams will be realigned to others and that some of our colleagues will be leaving us, end quote. In an email to staff sent by Matt Booty, head of Xbox Game Studios, Microsoft blamed the cuts on a, quote, reprioritization of titles and resources. The email, verified by IGN, is below. So I'll just read out this email. Today I'm sharing changes we're making to our Bethesda and ZeniMax teams. These changes are grounded in prioritizing high-impact titles and further investing in Bethesda's portfolio of blockbuster games and beloved worlds which you have nurtured over many decades. To double down on these franchises and invest to build new ones requires us to look across the business to identify the opportunities that are best positioned for success. This reprioritization of titles and resources means a few teams will be realigned to others and that some of our colleagues will be leaving us. Here are the changes going into effect. Arcane Austin. The studio will close with some members of the team joining other studios to work on projects across Bethesda. Arcane Austin has a history of making impactful and innovative games, and it is a pedigree that everyone should be proud of. Redfall's previous update will be its last, and we will end all development on the game. The game and its servers will remain online for players to enjoy, and we will provide make-good offers to the players who purchase the Hero DLC. Alpha Dog Studios. This studio will also close. We appreciate the team's creativity in bringing Doom to new players. Mighty Doom will be sunset on August 7th, and we will be turning off the ability for players to make any purchases in the game. Tango Games Works. This will also close. We are thankful for their contributions to Bethesda and players around the world. Hi-Fi Rush will continue to be available to players on the platforms it is already on today. Roundhouse Games. The team at Roundhouse Games will be joining ZeniMax Online Studios. Roundhouse has played a key role in many of our recent game launches, and bringing them to ZOS to work on the Elder Scrolls Online will mean we can do even more to grow the world that millions of players call home. With this consolidation of our Bethesda studio teams, we can invest more deeply in our portfolio of games and new IP. A small number of roles across select Bethesda publishing and corporate teams will also be eliminated. Those whose roles will be impacted will be notified today, and we ask that you please treat your departing colleagues with respect and compassion. We will provide our full support to those who are impacted in today's notifications and through their transitions, including severance benefits informed by local laws. These changes are not a reflection of the creativity and skill of the talented individuals at these teams or the risks they took to try new things. I acknowledge that these changes are also disruptive to the various support teams across ZeniMax and Bethesda that bring our games to market. We're making these tough decisions to create capacity to increase investment in other parts of our portfolio and focus on our priority games. Bethesda remains one of the key pillars of Xbox with a strong portfolio of amazing games and thriving communities. As we look to the future, there is an impressive lineup of games on the horizon. In 2024 alone, we have Starfield, Shattered Space, Fallout 76, Skyline Valley, Indiana Jones and the Great Circle, and the Elder Scrolls Online's Golden Road. As we align our plans and resources to best set ourselves up for success in this complex and changing industry, our teams across Arcane Leon, Bethesda Game Studios, ID Software, Machine Games, ZeniMax Online Studios, and the Bethesda publishing and corporate teams will be well positioned to build new IP, explore new game concepts, and expand on our existing franchises. Matt. Microsoft announced of the cuts at Bethesda. The cuts of Bethesda come over 3 months after the company announced plans to cut 1,900 staff from its video games workforce, and amid a boom time for Bethesda's Fallout series, following the breakout hit Prime Video TV show. The closure of Tango Games Works hits over just a year after the launch of Hi-Fi Rush, what many consider to be one of the best Xbox games in recent years. Tweeting in April 2023, Aaron Greenberg, Vice President of Xbox Games Marketing at Microsoft, addressed concerns that Hi-Fi Rush had failed to meet sales targets, calling the game, quote, a breakout hit for us and our players in all key measurements and expectations, end quote. Greenberg continued, quote, we couldn't be happier with what the team at Tango Games delivered with this surprise release. Hi-Fi Rush launched on PS5 as part of Microsoft's new multi-platform push in March. In a series of tweets, Arcane Leon chief Dinga Bakaba hit out at the cuts, calling them, quote, absolutely terrible. To any executive reading this, friendly reminder that video games are an entertainment cultural industry, and your business as a corporation is to take care of your artists and entertainers and help them create value for you, Baba continued. Don't throw us into gold fever gambits. Don't use us as strawmen for miscalculations. Blind spots don't make our work environments Darwinist jungles. You say we make you proud when we make a good game. Make us proud when the times are tough. We know you can. We have seen it before. For now, great teams are sunsetting before our eyes again, and it's a fucking gut stab. Leon is safe, but please be tactful and discerning about all this and respect affected folks' voice and leave it room to be heard. It's their story to tell and their feelings to express. Inside baseball, but if I read immersive sim curse from the community, especially from a fellow dev. I swear to God, please let's talk about the real challenges instead of rehashing irrational anxieties of the past. Even more inside baseball, but with a very, very wide range. As a wide and sorely missed man said, please stop. I don't get this inside baseball quote stuff that he's saying. I don't know if that...
it's like inside base, as in, like, this is knowledge within our industry and maybe more specifically our dealings with Microsoft.
Okay, right, okay. Layoffs are sweeping the video game industry, with a number of high-profile studios cutting staff or shutting down. In stark contrast to a year of blockbuster video game hits, one of the biggest ongoing industry trends in 2023 was a prevalence of mass layoffs, and they have continued into 2024. While actual figures are difficult to obtain, estimates suggest the number of workers laid off in games last year approached or exceeded 10,000. A recent GDC survey of developers suggested 1/3 of all game developers were impacted by layoffs last year, either directly or by witnessing them happen at their company. Luke, your thoughts?
Those are my thoughts.
That's fair.
Yeah, it's very disappointing. The biggest kind of thorn in my side for this, the Tango Studio shutdown, is very sad. It's very upsetting. The thing that upsets me the most, though, weirdly, is Arcane Austin being shut down.
Redfall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I was so pleased with Phil Spencer's initial reaction to that when he was, I think it was on the Kind of Funny Xcast.
Yeah.
When he showed up and talked at length about that and specifically said that, look, a studio of ours can fail. We're always going to look after the artists. We know they're really talented people. We know there was just maybe a misdirection, a misstep, and that they are really talented. We can, they can apply their minds to their next game. They can learn from their mistakes. They can become a stronger studio. And I heard all that and was like, as a fucking working professional artist, I heard all that and was like, oh, amazing. That's what you want to hear as an artist.
What a fresh take.
Because it's lovely, and it's the correct take, because art careers and video game careers are precarious in terms of job security because of shit like this. And so if a really big industry leader comes out and says, look, art is about taking risks, and if it didn't go the way it was supposed to go, that's okay. Like, we know you're still all really talented artists. You can get stuck back in on the next project, learn from your mistakes, grow. Will be a more robust and stable organization for having people that have made mistakes in it and learn from them. It's great. Really encouraging. And then this breaks and Arcane Austin is being shut down.
Yeah.
It's massively disappointing. It feels, as an Xbox fan, it feels like Phil has just kind of this decision might not have come from Phil specifically, obviously, but it feels like you have your lead guy out there in the field saying all these claims, and then the organization itself does a 180 on the claims. It just feels very disappointing.
Well, they had, I don't know if you remember or if you watched it, I think it was in early April, maybe even earlier than that, but they had the developers showcase for Xbox, and there was lots of clips of people like Phil Spencer or like the CEO, Sarah, I can't remember what her name is, but they're all being interviewed and talked about, like, we're a family here at Xbox and we're here to look after the small teams and all that kind of stuff. And so much of what they said in that is so... It was like, oh, we say we'll give all these buzzwords that people want to hear about family and caring and nurturing and helping these things to grow, and then you get a thing, less than a month later, and everyone's saying, oh, no, business is bad, so we closed X, Y, Z. Yeah. And it sucks because when this all dropped kind of early May, and it's still kind of going on. There's still there's still bits and pieces coming out that Xbox or Microsoft might still consider some more closures, but it sucks in that when I listened to a really good take from Gary Whitta, who sometimes makes appearances on Kind of Funny as well, but he made a great point about creativity and how the risks involved now in the industry means that we could see a serious lack of creativity in games. Like Hi-Fi Rush, I need to get to play it now because it's available on PlayStation, but when it was announced as an Xbox exclusive, I was a bit disappointed because I was like, that seems like my kind of game, a bit different, a bit out there, and a really new creative kind of turn for that studio to take and for Tango Games Works to take and to give a shot. And by Microsoft's own words or Xbox's own words, it hit all of their expectations. Like it thrived. Like, they were like, oh, by all our metrics, it was a success.
I think they only had said the sales figure thing. I think that was the only thing that they were disappointed with from the game, which is strange. And I saw a really good discussion on this on Reddit earlier on today, where people were talking about, like, what do sales figures even mean when Microsoft peddles its Game Pass model? So, like, that its Game Pass model is how Microsoft wants you to play all its games. Yeah. So what is a sale?
Yeah.
Is a sale someone downloading, like, I thought about this because I downloaded Hi-Fi Rush, but I haven't started the game up yet. It's on my console, but I haven't just pressed launch.
So,
does that count as a sale?
Is that kind of a sale? And that's a tough one as well. Like, and this is one of the questions I wanted to ask you. I have another like continuation on from that, which we might hit, because I wanted to do the title is Xbox President addresses Bethesda studio closures. So I wanted to go to like talk about their response. But before we get there and we hear their response, because you are Mr. Xbox Games Pass himself, we've been on this podcast plenty of times, and I've said to you, like, make it make sense to me, Luke, you know, because it's a great deal for us as consumers. It's fantastic, but I just don't know financially how it's ever made sense, because no one else is doing it. And in my mind, it was like, no one else is doing it because it must not financially be viable. And when I see this, I'm kind of like, is Games Pass as a model financially viable? Like, can you, if Hi-Fi Rush exists and they're going to put a day one Games Pass, like all of our exclusives will be day one on Games Pass. So no one's forking out 40, 50 quid if they're an Xbox player, because they want let's say their ideal thing is that everyone who's on Xbox has signed up to Xbox Games Pass. Yep. So when a new game like Hi-Fi Rush comes out, they're not getting the 50, 60 quid straight off the pop for someone going in to buy that game, because they're already able to play it because they're paying their monthly subscription to...
Yeah, so specifically with that point, studios get a huge chunk of change up front for agreeing to be a part of Games Pass.
Yeah.
So they get like an agreed upon figure based on estimates, I think, and how much sales they expect to get. Xbox pay that to them directly.
Yeah.
And in return, they agree for their games gone Game Pass. The trade-offs being that maybe the game on Game Pass exceeds the number of sales they would have done without Game Pass, so they're losing money, but it gets into the hands of more players more easily through the Game Pass pipeline. So that's kind of, those are all the factors in a trade-off for a studio. But they get a chunk of change up front for agreeing to put their games on Game Pass. For the question as to like why Xbox Game Pass works, I still don't know. Like
but like that's the thing. Like when you think about now, again, there's a couple of factors. I mean, I was very much against Microsoft's acquisition of Activision for so long, because it was an outrageous amount of money as well, in the tens of billions. Yep. And I kind of thought, that doesn't seem... You want Call of Duty? That seems like an awful lot of money to be paying over and above for the Call of Duty franchise. Do you know what I mean? And when I think of that, like, I mean, Microsoft valued at $3 trillion. We spent tens of billions acquiring Activision. At what cost? Like, for very decent, brilliant. Like, I mean, Tango. I mean, Hi-Fi Rush. I haven't played, but it's one of those things I looked at and said I want to play. We know Redfall was not what it wanted to be, but Phil Spencer came in and said that was our fault. We should have actually stepped in and helped them acclimatize to us, you know, as opposed to just take them over, set them on their way, and not really have that relationship there. Because I think that was when he was being interviewed in that Xcast. He talked about how they might have missed a step by not, and not like stepping in a kind of, what would you say, suffocating kind of way to the creativity side of things, but just to help with the development side of things within like the Xbox infrastructure. Yeah. And I'm like, if you spent that amount of money, tens of billions in Activision, I mean, is that going to be worth it? Is that ever going to pay for itself in a way? And at the same time, you say to yourself, well, it must not have been worth it in a sense, because so many people have lost their jobs. These 4 studios and these 4 pipes of creativity have completely been stifled and shut down. And then you look at Games Pass being like, how are you making money from that? How are they making money from that, you know?
Yeah.
It's great for us, man. It's great for us, but I look at Games Pass being like, do I want it to be that thing where, oh, it's great for me, but at the reason I get this is because they're closing studios that do not absolutely fucking make the absolute bomb of money that they expected, you know?
It is an interesting point. It was put really well to me recently, just when it comes to just corporations in general. Their number one priority, corporations' number one priority, is their customers. Their number 2 priority is their stakeholders. Right?
I would say it would be vice versa.
No. They get like the customers where their bread is buttered. Like the customer provides all of the money, right? For them to like where, and the stakeholders obviously come in, but they're basically, the stakeholders are just small sections of their business, and obviously like it determines how they develop their businesses and stuff like that, like shareholders and stuff need to be appeased. The customer is really, really high up in that equation. The customer is the most important person, which is an interesting thing to take into consideration, because when I rethink that model, like, so customer first, stakeholder second, and then third is kind of everybody else. Maybe starting with non-customers who could potentially be customers or whatever. So if it's just customers and stakeholders, and then third string is the businesses that make the games, like the workers that make the games, right? If I think about that and through that lens, watch what's happened with that Xbox, it is really scary, because you're seeing, like, me as a customer, I am happy. I am getting all the games. Mm-hmm. It's great. The stakeholders are like, this is Phil Spencer's. It's his whole thing. He's trying to manage these companies and also keep the investors happy. He's doing that dance. He's trying to keep that all fed. And while they work out that balance between customer and stakeholder, and their more general plans to turn all the video games into the Netflix model, into the Spotify model.
Yeah.
As they continue down that path, the casualties of that seem to be the creatives, seem to be the game studios.
Yeah.
That's how it's kind of shaken out.
And it's shit, because what I always applauded Nintendo and Xbox for, kind of a couple of years ago, would have been the indie side of things. I thought Games Pass and the Microsoft model seemed to support indie developers in a much bigger way than Sony did, and I was always like, like, if we're talking about console wars, not that I like to pit against, but like, you know, we've all fought our corners on this podcast before, and I was always disappointed in what I would have said was Sony's inability to really kind of put forward the indie developers. But if I was a company, would I want ever to be taken over by Xbox in terms of like, what's the risk? They take me over to bump up the share price and let me sell my game that looks to be good, but then all the overheads are way too expensive, so goodbye, you're gone. It's literally like just a shot to the share price, and then thanks very much, see you later, goodbye. Which is what it seems like. I mean, Tango, like as I said, by every metric, this game was a success. But now we see it as a bit of an you've got now to develop a game. We're gonna have to wait for you to develop a game, which is only going to cost us money. Yep. So thanks, but no thanks.
Yeah. It's just gross. It just feels really yucky. Like it used to be the case. Like, yeah, for sure. Microsoft was really good with indie games, and in the Xbox 360 era, they had a really good infrastructure in place for that. Yeah. So like you saw it a little bit in. Do you remember Indie Game, the movie? Yeah. So the Super Meat Gang, is that
Super Meat Boy?
Yeah. The Super Meat Boy devs did their deal with Xbox Live Arcade, which was what it was called at the time, kind of their indie game platform back then. So did, I think, Braid as well. Braid also did that kind of deal. And basically it was giving these indie devs, it was doing exactly what a publisher should do. So they go into an agreement with a publisher so that the publisher can get their title in the hands of more people, and the publisher takes a cut. And that's kind of the end of the relationship, right? What's happening these days seems to be the publisher, Xbox in the role of publisher. It's more than a publisher. Like it helps fund the studios, and it helps distribute their works, but it also has the power to shut them down. Yeah, which is
immediately
nuts. It is really strange. Like that just shows like how much stake Xbox is taking, which means that Xbox is paying a lot to these studios to keep them afloat, but it also means that they have the power to.
And that's what I mean in terms of like Hi-Fi Studio. That game was Tango Games. That was a departure away from their normal stuff. So a bit of a creative jump here. Let's go and try something. The game's successful,
really successful.
But we're going to shut you down anyway because we now see this as an expense. So creativity gets stifled in such a way that it's like, well, let's only create games that we know from the industry are big sellers, the Battle Royales, the Call of Duties, the whatever else. So from an Xbox side of things, all you're kind of promoting in development there is just beige, successful, like financially successful cookie cutter games. Yeah. And we won't get the hi-fi rushes and the really interesting kind of indie games, or even like the AAA kind of, we're gonna try and do a little bit of a sidestep here, and that terrifies me, man. I'm over my Call of Duty days. I'm over those. I don't want that to be the game industry where that's all you play, and that the interesting, you know, new games are like so far and in between and so rare, and the only way that company survives is if it's hyper successful. Like, it's the next Stardew Valley. That's the only way it makes it. You know what I mean? It's like, I don't really want that to be the industry. But with the way Xbox is doing their business based on this, is like, hey, we've just closed down 4 creative studios because we bought Activision, who just make Call of Duty.
Yeah. As an Xbox fan, as a main man Xbox fan, it's really, it's actually, not sound too dramatic. We're doing a podcast about video games. It's okay to get a bit dramatic about video games. Yeah. But it's actually really upsetting, because I love Game Pass because of the variety of indie titles that I can just scroll through, see something mad out in it. Like Dordogne is one that's just this beautiful French, like, indie gorgeous art game that I have queued up. There's like loads of little titles like that you just come across that you never would have heard of otherwise. Install them, have a play, really lovely. But what they've done recently is completely contradictory to what Phil Spencer kind of promised that they were doing.
Yeah.
And the direction it seems to be going is that, the studios are the ones, the creatives are the ones who are being thrown onto the sword first, as opposed to falling on the sword. Like, they're being thrust onto the sword first, so that they can move in the direction.
And it's like, it's like that, like all these creatives who made successful games. Redfall, not really, but you felt that Xbox might have had their back. But again, let's take Tango Games as an example. It's like, you made this game and it was super successful and it made us some money. But the big wigs are saying, we spent fucking tens of billions on Activision, so you guys got to go. Yeah.
I'll tell you what, this is the first, there's been lots of controversies with Xbox over the past couple of years, like their acquisition and stuff like that. And I've been very team Xbox the whole time. Like, I kind of get it. Like, that's just how the cookie crumbles and that's just how business works, blah, blah, blah. This is the first story that's broken for Xbox for me that makes me go, I don't like this.
Yeah, you guys are, I don't think you're...
this. Yeah. This is a bad direction to go. Unequivocally, this is a really definitely playing into that is the fact that I work in the arts and that I work on contract.
But even so, like, that's, I mean, I don't work in the arts, but I look at this and I look at the scenario and the situation. And I kind of say to myself, like at what cost? Like, I mean, we always laugh about Games Pass, this ultimate deal, like, and we don't know how it makes sense. But I'm at a part where it's like you have to be kind of a little bit of a, as a consumer, you need to be aware when it comes to like waste and stuff like that in your normal day-to-day. We're told to recycle, blah, blah, blah. Yep. And now it comes in the game industry and I'm like, Games Pass exists. And okay, so it's such an amazing deal. But what? Like, why is that so cheap? Yeah. You know, like my fruit and veg are so cheap from fucking Lidl or whatever else because the farmers are taking a massive hit on all these things. You know what I mean? Yeah. But so why is my Game Pass so cheap? Because we're closing studios left, right, and center to keep the shareholders happy and keep the numbers up. Yeah. So they've made these great games, we're shutting them down, and it's like, don't make me have to think like that as a video game consumer. Like, do you know what I mean? I want to be able to play these games and enjoy them. Be smart as a business and say, okay, hi everybody, we know Xbox was this great deal. Unfortunately, we're going to have to increase it by X amount per month. But the reason we're doing that is to keep X, Y, and Z alive and thriving and well. Yep. But instead, it's like, no, we need to keep that number down. So we're fucking axing all of these creative minds in the industry. And I'm like, no. Like, please, I'll fucking pay the extra, whatever it is a month, if I can afford it, whatever else. Just stop killing the creative side of all this kind of stuff.
Makes me feel real uncomfy, man. I don't like it.
And I play video games to have fun, man. I don't want to think about these things. Yeah. I'll go on to the next bit, is just kind of Xbox's response to this, right? This is coming from Wesley LeBlanc from Game Informer. And it says, earlier this month, Xbox closed 4 Bethesda studios, including Redfall developer Arcane Austin and Tango Games Works, the team behind last year's Hi-Fi Rush. Well, each of the 4 studios affected, which also includes Mighty Doom developer Alpha Dog Games and Bethesda studio Roundhouse Games, the head released a statement about closures. However, 4 days later, so this is on May 10th, Bloomberg's Dina Bass interviewed Xbox president Sarah Bond and asked her about the Bethesda closures, to which Bond cited a desire to keep the Xbox business healthy in the long term, even through hard transition periods. Here's what Bond said. Quote, "It's always extraordinarily hard when you have to make decisions like that. I'll go back to what I was saying about the industry, and when we look at those fundamental trends, we feel a deep responsibility to ensure that the games we make, the devices we build, the services that we offer are there through moments, even when the industry isn't growing and when you're going through a time of transition. And the news we announced earlier this week is an outcome of that and our commitment to make sure that the business is healthy for the long term. With that said, our commitment to having our own studios and working with partners to have games large and small, we're a platform where you can play Grand Theft Auto, but you can also play Pal World, or you can play Call of Duty, and you can also play Pentiment. That doesn't change, and frankly, our commitment to Bethesda and the role that plays is a part of Xbox and everything we do. It's actually been pretty fantastic. I don't know if you've gotten a chance to check it out. The Fallout TV show was on Amazon. It's been great to see people fall in love with that universe, but also what it's done for the games themselves. And people going back and exploring everything inside of that. There are some other great things that are coming from our studios later this year. Indiana Jones and the Great Circle. I was a big indie fan growing up, so you should check that out. But really right now, for us and our teams, our focus is on the people impacted and doing everything we can to help them through this hard transition. End quote. Based in asked Bond specifically about the closure of Tango Games Works after Hi-Fi Rush, which by Xbox own admitted metrics was a big success. Bond's answer here was less straightforward. Here it is below. Quote, one of the things I really love about the games industry is its creative art form, and it means that the situation and what success for each game and studio are also really unique. There's no one size fits all for us, and we look at each studio, each game team, and we look at a whole variety of factors when we're faced with making decisions and trade-offs like that. But it all comes back to our long-term commitment to games we create, the devices we build, the services, and ensuring we're setting ourselves up to be able to deliver on those promises, end quote. While it's great that Bond addressed these closures at Xbox, it still lacks the clarity you'd expect from one of the biggest companies in the games industry. Neither Microsoft nor Xbox, including Microsoft Games CEO Phil Spencer, has yet to address the layoffs and closures in an official capacity beyond this point. And I think that's still the case to this date, because this was early May that this was said, but I don't think there's been an official statement from Phil Spencer on any of this. I could be wrong, but and that's the end of the thing. So said a whole lot of nothing, kind of, really, especially about the Tango Games.
Yeah. Oh yeah, really gross. I didn't like that at all. I especially didn't. I especially didn't like the part where she was like, "Oh yeah, have you heard about that Fallout TV show?" Oh
man, stop! Like, talk about fucking distract techniques. Like, Jesus
look at
Christ.
all these great things that we have done. Yeah, weird vibes. Don't like it at all.
It's so tone deaf, man.
It's tone deaf. Corporate speak,
and not only is it corporate speak, I can understand, but like she didn't even really address it.
No.
It was like, oh, we closed that, but have you seen this great show and services we have coming up, like lined up? Like that's the part where I'm like, oh, I get such an ick from this response, you know. Yeah, weird, and I'm surprised. I'd be interested to see if Phil Spencer does make a point on this, because I think personally, and I really liked what he did with the games cast and the kind of funny teams. So he actually came out and was very honest about that being a failure and how him and his team needed to take that one, not the studio so much, because they didn't really do enough in the background to help them create something good. And then in the developers showcase, he said a lot of stuff about family and, you know, help growing this, that, and the other. I'm really interested to see what he comes out, if he does come out and say anything on this. Like, I'm really interested in his take about how, like, I mean, how do you say this is okay? You know, how do you come out and say that, you know, we're sorry or we were mistaken? I just don't know what his stance would be in any way that's kind of like forgivable, or because I thought like, hey, this guy's coming out wearing his heart in his sleeve talking about Redfall, but that was all according to, and it's not that I think that he was saying that knowing that these studios were going to close.
No,
I don't think Phil's that kind of guy. Do you know what I mean? But at the same time, I'm like, maybe you should have said a little bit less if you know some of what's going on in the background and know that maybe tough calls are coming down the line in the future potentially, that you probably shouldn't have said so many. We're here to save them and to look after the family and to
we're all a family,
and to grow this and to grow that. Yeah. Oh,
weird, bad vibes. I would like to see what Phil says, but not. I don't. Phil's not my friend. Phil's not my friend.
No, and he's not my friend either. He's an interesting face and name in the community or the industry that I think is like, you get less corporate shit from Phil. It's kind of he's a gamer and he's high up in Xbox and he comes out and says things and I'm like, oh, I actually, you're a person I'm interested to hear what you have to say.
Yes, yeah.
But yeah, I'm not Phil's friend. I'm certainly not Phil's friend after this.
The more time goes on, the more I kind of watch the way he takes stances on the industry and on what Xbox is doing as like through a kind of a more political lens. Like, I came up with the theory a couple of months ago when all the previous shit show was going down and Phil was appearing on the Xcast and all this kind of stuff. I came up with the theory that Phil is like lining up his retirement because he's just going on these shows and he's just taking L's. Like, he's just soaking up Microsoft's bad press all onto himself. And I look at him and I go, what's this like? And then he came out and said a bunch of things that have now turned out to just not be the case, turned out to not be true.
Yeah.
Like, he would be a very useful fall guy for Microsoft
right now if he's planning on just stepping away.
Exactly, yeah. He would be. That could be a part of his plan. Like, that really could be a part of his plan to kind of sunset in the video game industry and just soak up a bit of bad press for Xbox to set them up for a good future. He was going to retire anyway. So I don't know. I don't know with Phil Spencer, especially when he says one thing and then immediate contradiction comes forward. I don't know, man. It's all gross.
Well, we spent ages on this news article. I'll go into one that's kind of like bad news for Square Enix, but maybe just good news for the industry as a whole. So this is titled Square Enix is going aggressively multi-platform after a string of PS5 exclusives. Like Final Fantasy 16 and Final Fantasy 7 Rebirth didn't really work out. This is coming from Ollie Welsh in Polygon. So Square Enix has revealed a new business plan titled Square Enix Reboots and Awakens that will see the publisher aggressively pursue a multi-platform strategy for its biggest games across Nintendo, Xbox, PlayStation, and Windows PC. While Square Enix has long been active across a wide range of platforms, it has a tradition of signing exclusivity deals for its biggest releases, typically with Sony. This year's Final Fantasy 7 Rebirth and last year's Final Fantasy 16 are currently exclusive to PlayStation 5, while games like Forspoken and the original Final Fantasy 7 Remake have been released across PlayStation and PC. Final Fantasy 14 has only just seen an Xbox release this past March, over a decade after it debuted on PC and PlayStation. The wording of Square Enix's new plan, released as part of the company's latest financial report, suggests that this strategy will soon be a thing of the past. Square Enix said its goal was to, quote, build an environment where more customers can enjoy our titles, especially regarding major franchises and AAA titles, including catalog titles, end quote. The mention of catalog titles suggests that previously exclusive games like the Final Fantasy 7 series and Final Fantasy 16 may soon be coming to other platforms. The move comes after reports suggested that both Final Fantasy 16 and Final Fantasy 7 Rebirth underperformed financially. Indeed, in its own report, Square Enix acknowledges low profitability in what it calls the HD game segment, meaning medium to big budget games for console systems and PC, which is an alarming thing to say about the financial year in which these two perceived juggernauts in the company's most famous franchise were released. Of course, Square Enix is not the only company wondering if the platform exclusivity can work at all at scale anymore. Xbox has begun a controversial shift towards publishing its games on rival console platforms, while Sony is in the process of discovering the huge audience as well as the potential pitfalls that it can find as a multi-platform publisher with Helldivers 2. Square Enix's language about finding a wider audience for its games echoes what's used by Microsoft and to defend its own decisions. Other points in Square Enix's plan, which covers the period from now through March 2027, include a, quote, shift from quantity to quality, end quote, from a publisher that has been known to flood the market with smaller releases. Quality is great, of course, but the plan to regularly release AAA titles in Square Enix major franchises sounds a little like the risk aversion and sequelitis that has set in at every major game publisher. Square Enix said it has cancelled several games that did not fit its new strategy. In addition, Square Enix has said that it aims to concentrate on in-house development and restructure its internal studios or business units to be more integrated, suggesting that the company's long era of fiefdoms led by powerful individual producers with big personalities may be coming to an end. Nomura, anyone? Reports suggested that the current setup can be disorganized and frustrating for employees, but there's no doubt that it also leads to games with a strong personal flavor. Whether or not Square Enix can keep the balance between the creativity of its individual employees and the management centered on the organization, as it says it intends to, will be key. Overall, the business plan paints a picture of a company in crisis mode seeking to reboot itself, and of a game industry where AAA budgets and platform exclusivity just don't mix anymore. So there's an update from a little bit after the article was released. Bloomberg journalist Takashi Mochizuki offered some context based on comments to press by Square Enix president Kiryu. Kiryu confirmed that both Final Fantasy 16 and Final Fantasy 7 Rebirth fell short of their sales expectations, as did Foam Stars, another PlayStation exclusive. He also reiterated the need to find balance between individual creativity and organizational discipline. Shares in Square Enix fell steeply on Tuesday over fears that the company doesn't have enough big games coming in the next couple of years and that it will be a long while before the effects of the reorganization are seen. I mean, it sounds like Square Enix is not in a full we're all doomed mode, but definitely like, shit, stuff didn't work out like we planned to, and now we're putting our games on everything, which we've often talked about was just good for the industry.
Yeah, it is good for the industry, and it does. Like, the first thing that came to mind there was the talks that they were in with Xbox just late last year, when Phil Spencer was talking about how, you know, they have a great new relationship with Square Enix, where the hints, what came out of that, initially was the announcement of Final Fantasy 14 appearing on Xbox, which it has done since. But it seemed like there were broader things that they were hinting at there. Now for Square Enix to report that sale figures are low and that they're pivoting to like more marketplaces. Yeah, good for the consumer, good for the
expectations are a thing that worry me at big developers like Square Enix, because now I've heard that 7 Rebirth didn't hit expectations.
This is really news to me. It didn't hit sales expectations.
No, and I had read that kind of in the couple of weeks following, like while I was still, neck deep in playing that game, and I hadn't seen the outside world in a while. And it's such a pity because it's a phenomenally good game. Like, it hasn't met sales, not because the game has underperformed. Like, from a personal perspective, it's a 10 out of 10 for me, and an incredible game. But for whatever reason, marketing or the fact that it's a part 2 of a 3-part that's going to take 12 years to make, maybe didn't appeal to some people to go back into. I don't know. Yeah. But if you're not going to have it on every available platform to play, it's not going to work. Now, that being said, we know the PlayStation 5 is more powerful than the Xbox current gen. Like, it's been...
That's not true. The Series X is the most powerful console on the market.
Were there worries where that the PlayStation 5, like Final Fantasy 7 Rebirth, wouldn't be able to perform on the Xbox consoles?
On the Series S, I think, is usually the talking point.
Oh, and we brought this up before, the Baldur's Gate issue. Okay, so but because of that, okay, so because of that, they're probably, well, how do you make it exclusive to Xbox Series? Are there any exclusive Xbox Series X games, or do they just sell everything across the two, but one is more powerful?
They sell everything across the two, but one is more powerful. I think they are getting a bit of controversy over that from Senua Saga Hellblade 2 released, and is reportedly having some problems on the Series S.
So I think that's probably when I read before them talking about Xbox versus PlayStation, the Xbox infrastructure in its totality would be weaker than the PlayStation 5, I guess, because what they're saying is Rebirth wouldn't be able to play on both. Okay, that makes sense. So I guess that's some of their mountains to climb, I guess. And it's been nice because when a game is exclusive, there's a part where you say, well, we're only building it for this infrastructure, so let's focus on that, and you get, like, I guess, a more complete game. But I think it's like Final Fantasy 16 was such a great game. 7 Rebirth was such a great game. I want everybody to be able to just go and play those, And we talked before about the idea of exclusivity. Just like, what's the point these days?
It's annoying for consumers more than everything. To the point where we've been fighting for the cross-play paradigm to be available for every game for decades now. We just want to be able to play with our friends.
Let our player games, But I mean, like, good news for us, and I hope it does. I mean, like, a Square Enix, if I had to pick, if we ever did an episode on favorite developer spoilers or publisher, Square Enix is going to be it for me. They've made all of my favorite games ever. And I just would like everybody to be able to experience them.
Totally.
And like that with Xbox, I mean, in the aftermath of everything that's gone wrong in Xbox, I've heard that they're, like, in order to save themselves, those games like Hi-Fi Rush and possibly Indiana Jones and some other games will be released on other... That's the rumors, that those games will be released on other consoles going forward as well. And I think that's... For them, I don't think it's a choice of let's be good to everybody. I think it's more of a financial, we might have to do this, which kind of seems what it is with Square Enix as well. I don't think they're doing that because they're like, oh, we want everybody. It's like, fuck, like, we need more money. But I just want everybody to play all games, you know.
Same.
I'll finish with one more interesting story, Luke, if you don't mind, on the episode. And this is Nintendo buys Hogwarts Legacy Mortal Kombat port studio ahead of Switch 2 launch. And this is by Eddie Makuch from GameSpot. So Nintendo has announced it is buying Shiver Entertainment, the Miami-based game studio known for the Switch ports of Hogwarts Legacy and Mortal Kombat 1. The studio was previously owned by Embracer. Quote, Nintendo will acquire 100% of the outstanding shares of Shiver and make a wholly owned subsidiary. By welcoming Shiver's experienced and accomplished development teams to Nintendo aims to secure high-level resources for porting and developing software titles, end quote. The company added that Shiver's focus will remain the same after joining Nintendo and that it is to continue porting and developing games for multiple platforms, including Switch. Nintendo did not specify a purchase price for Shiver. The company said that the buyout will have only a minor effect on Nintendo's business results for the fiscal year. Shiver's CEO is John Shepard, who was the founder of EA Triberon, the game development giant known for the Madden and NCAA football franchises. He later rose higher at EA all the way up to SVP of Worldwide Studios at EA before joining Xbox and then returning to EA. Nintendo rarely acquires companies. The company's last big buyout before this was the purchase of longtime collaborator SRD in 2022. In 2021, Nintendo purchased another longtime collaborator, Next Level Games. The move to buy Shiver comes ahead of the expected 2025 release of the Switch 2, or whatever the system ends up being called. As for Embracer, the Swedish gaming group is selling franchises and studios as part of a cost-cutting and restructuring effort, and it seems Shiver was a part of that. I'm excited by this one because I think it sounds to me like in preparation for a more powerful new console. The rumors are that the Switch 2, or whatever they call it, will have the graphical fidelity and performance equal to like the PlayStation 4
of a PS3.
No, thankfully the PS4. But it's cool because I think it means after the Switch 2, the idea is that they will get ported versions of more modern day games. It feels like Nintendo, like to me, that purchase feels like Nintendo's extending its arm out to be like, oh, but we want kind of what some of the new shit that's coming out still, you know, like or at least to port a lot of games that were never available for Nintendo for our customers to buy, which I think is a kind of a cool move by Nintendo.
Yeah, it is an interesting one. It's if it's just one studio worth of port, I don't know, maybe I imagine like coolest scenario here would be like Nintendo has its own internal like porting division.
Yes, that's how I see it.
Made up of these experts who are really good at adapting things to Nintendo hardware. And we've talked with Chris about countless examples of bad ports. Like most PC ports are terrible, and they just kill a game for a bunch of people. Like I still own Jedi Survivor on Steam, but I still haven't played it because the Steam port is garbage.
Oh shit! Okay,
and they haven't done anything to fix that. Actually, I haven't checked the news on that in a while. But it seems to be a cool move for them.
Now, I don't know how the full Hogwarts Legacy plays on the Nintendo Switch, the first one. I have no idea how that plays because it does look fantastic when it came out for PS4, PS5 and stuff. So I can't imagine how that looks. But if it plays well and stuff like Mortal Kombat 1 and they were ported well to the Switch and they can play, I'm excited for Nintendo to have not just the stalwart Mario and Nintendo titles, but to be able to be like, but don't worry, we're kind of grabbing a couple of AAA games from other publishers, other third parties for the Switch 2. Do you know what I mean? That the Switch 2 isn't going to be this Nintendo handheld console. It'll be like, for once Nintendo it may be that they're going for, we're kind of joining the other guys for a little bit. Yeah. You know, so we can play a couple more things on this more powerful console as opposed to, we're making Nintendo Labo 2 over here, like, you know, just being quirky Nintendo.
We like the quirky Nintendo, but also I think the Switch does need a lot of titles. Like it needs less shovelware, less of those like €3 games that are just visual novels that aren't really anything. More like bigger titles to kind of.
And it's cool that they have purchased these guys ahead of the Switch 2. Yeah. That if it is part of their business plan, we can expect that during the Switch 2's life cycle, which would probably be like, again, 8 or 9 years, something like that. Yeah. The Switch is what, 7, 8 years old now?
The Switch would be 8 years old.
Yeah.
I think. Yeah.
Which is a good, like, strong, like that during that life cycle, they'll collect, 2-3 games, top games a year to port to the Switch 2. And it's like our catalog is no longer just the Mario. And I'd be keen on that, whatever it looks like. Yeah. I asked the guys on the last episode, Luke, what does the Switch 2 look like to you? Do we get a handheld Switch, like just an updated Switch 1, or do we get like a cool new console from Nintendo?
I think it is just going to be an updated Switch 1. But that might speak more to my lack of imagination because I never know what Nintendo's going to do next. Yeah. It's always like the Wii was just like, they're doing what? And then the Switch was like, they're doing what? The Wii U as well. It always surprises me. So I'm almost certainly wrong. But I imagine my guess would be that because of the success of the original Switch, because they get the hardware to work as well as it does, like it's always blows my mind that the Switch 1 is as successful a console as it is. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Like it's a crazy successful. I like to think that Nintendo have been iterating so much for so long to try and find the perfect gaming experience a la Nintendo, and I kind of hope that I think the Switch did it. I'm really happy with the Switch. Plays on the TV, plays in your hand. You can take the Joy-Cons off and like kick it up on the kickstand. It's perfect. There's no context that you can't play a Switch in. Don't mess with that. That's beautiful. That's lovely.
Okay. I on a personal note, I think it will be like a Switch 1 just done again, only better. But I'd love to see a new console from. I'm not saying the Switch isn't a console, but but I like to see like another GameCube or like a funny looking box thing to add to it that has this ability to pull out this handheld screening thing that's still connected to your box in some fashion to still play the games on or something like that, or it's just like another like, you know, I don't know how you do it. I'm not smart. But I'd love to see just a wacky console from Nintendo again, like, because the Switch is great, and I'm sure, but I think it'll just be this kind of, I would say, a more modern, sleek looking kind of Switch. But I want a cool, mad-looking box thing that plays like a PlayStation 4.
I totally get that.
But look, that's all the news we've got time for today. We're gonna, if you want more news, myself and Luke are going to talk about a cancelled Donkey Kong game and Kingdom Hearts leaks, which I'm just very excited about myself.
Always like a good Kingdom Hearts.
Oh man, and now that like all the Final Fantasy stuff is done, Square Enix's next thing is Kingdom Hearts, so I know I'm going to getting spoon fed some Kingdom Hearts shit, which I'm very excited about. But if you want to get more news and more content, check out our patreon.com/thegiftogaming. And for the cost of a coffee a month, there is a buttload more shit you can listen to on there, and it's a lot of fun, and it would help us keep the mics on and keep doing what we're doing and make it better. I mean, even though it's already pretty fantastic.
It was pretty good.
Yeah, it was pretty good. But like, make it better, you know. So you can support us there. Otherwise, let us know your thoughts on this month's news over at the giftofgamingpodcast@gmail.com. And until next time, Luke, thank you so much for popping on.
Thanks, Darren.
Xbox Games Pass still makes 0 sense to me.
Yeah, well.
That's live. And to our listeners, as always, and forever, keep enjoying the gift that is gaming. Peace out.